Hi, I'm Margie Holmes, psychologist, author, and educator. Today's topic is about your questions, stories, and comments about lesbian relationships. We received a lot of interesting insights about this topic. Let's start with some of the myths about lesbians. Anonymous. When I was in high school, I was scared whenever a tomboy would be courting me. I was afraid because they say, obsessive sila magmahal. Pag hiniwalayan mo, nagpapakamatay. Sex-wise, malaspag ka kasi, hindi kung ano-ano ang ipapasok sa'yo. I have no idea if this is true. Well, Mouse, let me tell you, it isn't true. Or more exact, perhaps, it is as true for heteros as it is for lesbians. So it depends, right? What sort of lesbian you get attracted to in the same way that it matters what sort of hetero you get attracted to. Ren says, sa gay women, parang may perception na mas seryoso daw sila at pagdating sa relasyon, napaka-possessive daw at kaya rin nagiging lesbian ay dahil hindi pa nakamit ng tamang guy. Ang masasabi ko lang dyan, Ren, ay kung naging lesbian daw ang mga lesbians dahil lamang sa hindi sila nakamit ng tamang lalaki na magmamahal sa kanila, katumbas ng pagmamahal ng isang babae sa mga guys, sigurado akong mas maraming lesbians sa mundo ngayon. Ibig sabihin, kung biniblame mo lang ang lesbians na cloistered sila at wala lang silang na-meet na lalaking tama. Hindi yan totoo. Kasi maraming hetero, hindi pa rin nakamit ng lalaking tama. Anonymous 2 says, before I entered my one and only relationship, they said it's much easier since you are both female and can understand each other's thoughts, actions, ideas well. But when you read online, most would say gay relationships don't last long. Now, for some experiences you've shared, Anonymous 2 says, I've been married and now have a lesbian partner. Here are some differences I've experienced. Housework-wise, masaya kasi pareho kayong responsible. Unlike pag lalaki, tamad kumilos. Lahat ng bagay aasikasuhin mo para sa kanila. Okay lang if you have time. Pero paano yon kung may anak ka din inaasikaso, kung meron ka ring trabaho kagaya ng guy, or kung meron kang trabaho at yung guy wala. Now please don't think I'm anti-male. I think I'm only responding to all the myths and all the prejudice against lesbian women. Emotionally, mas dandyang ang lesbian partner, unlike a guy na most of the time, wala silang clue how to make you happy when you're feeling down. Worse, isipin nila, sex lang ang katapat nun. I mean, can you imagine feeling down ka and then, alika magsiping tayo. It's ridiculous. Okay, in bed, lesbians know how to be gentle and enjoy longer foreplay, which is good. But sometimes, positions can be limited. So I can't say I blame you, Mouse, for your being completely happy or happy in the lesbian relationship you're in. Mouse 4 shares, in my experience, lesbians live quieter lives. Meaning, kakaunti ang nag-a-out na lesbian at bi at mas tahimik sa buhay dahil nga rin sa difficulty ng aming choices. Sa relationship ko ngayon, tinanggap naman kami ng families namin dahil I feel they respect our choice at kung sino kami. But this is something we never really talked about with our families. Basta, tinanggap na lang. Di na pinag-uusapan. Naka-live and let live mode sila. Pero I know, Anonymous, how you feel. Lalo na kung ikumpara mo, kung meron kang mga siblings na napaka-excited ang magulang mo at laging maraming tinatanong sa mga hetero relationships ng siblings mo. Pero sa inyo, parang deadma lang. The most they can do is live and let live. Masakit yun, and all I hope is makahanap ka ng ibang, in quotes, pamilya who will celebrate and not merely tolerate your relationship. Some of our viewers share the downside and challenges of being a lesbian. Anonymous 5, what saddens me in homosexual relationships is that walang karapatan ang naiwan when his or her partner dies. I respect the church if ayaw nilang i-recognize, but no excuse for the state simply because we the people are the state. Inupo natin ang mga officials to run our nation where every citizen should be treated equally and fairly. Correct ka dyan, Mouse. Everyone should be treated fairly. Lesbian, gay, straight, transgender, rich or poor, pro-RH or anti. Now, let me drink a little water because this talk about the discrimination against people is getting me so hot. Thank you. I had a partner for almost 3 decades whom I lost to a heart attack last year. Our adopted daughter, who carries her surname, will hopefully get a share of the family's assets. After dedicating more than half of my life to taking care of the family we created, I've learned that I was not even considered as our child's guardian. It hurts me, but I don't want to look as if naghahabol ako. I just hope our child will look after me in my twilight years. I also do hope so, Mouse. Rika, lesbian families, gay and straight families are the same when it comes to raising their children. They raise their children the way they were raised, or sometimes even better. They teach them about God, life, religion, politics, and usually happen to be more frank when it comes to relationships, mainly because they will have to explain their own. Now, Malou Marin and Steve Rogers, two of my favorite people, discuss infidelity between gay and lesbian couples. Malou Marin says, the joke in the community was lesbians are into relationships and gay men are into sex. This has changed over time, with lesbians now also engaging in sheer carnal activities and with gay men fixated in being in relationships. But in reality, of course, it's not that simple. There are differences and there are similarities in the end. It is really about two people relating to each other. To which Steve Rogers says, of course, there's a huge spectrum and no stereotype fits all. I still suspect that if you compared 1,000 gay men to 1,000 gay women, you'd find that the level of what we call promiscuity would be a lot higher among the men, simply because men are men. Some of our viewers think lesbian, or society rather, is unkind to lesbians precisely because they are women. Ayan, I have to drink again because this is, again, how a bigger group, like society, religion, etc., tend to be down on a defenseless lesbian. I mean, generally, right? They don't gather all the lesbians together and they say, kayo-kayong lahat. Usually, it is one lesbian or a lesbian couple who is mistreated by a whole group of people, be it cultural or religious mores, that make them feel not good enough for no other reason that they happen to love another woman. Ren says, women have always been marginalized, but a lesbian woman is marginalized twice. While people have tolerated, yes, merely tolerated, gay men, hindi pa rin ganun ka-welcome ang gay women. Some movies make it worse by showing lesbians who become heterosexuals once they get kissed by a man. M says, in harms of mas angsty ang angsty, full of angst. Kasi sometimes my pronunciation is not so good. Perhaps it's because of how we as women are subjected to multiple levels of discrimination. Babae ka na lang, nga, lesbiana ka pa. Double marginalizations, multiple bigotry. I can imagine that with other discriminations added to that, like being a single mother, etc., mas bigoted pa sila sa inyo. Now, let's move on to your questions. Is it normal for a former straight woman to now be in a homosexual relationship? Absolutely. Sexual orientation is not set in stone, but fluid. In my clinical experience, among those who change sexual orientations, the happiest are those who respond mainly to the person they fall in love or in lust with, and not to the gender that they happen to belong to. Not to people who are forced simply because of society, religion, or making their parents, in quote, happy. And for all those who discover that their orientations have changed, well, I sincerely hope that you had or that you have wonderful experiences, both as straight women and as lesbians. Someone asked me, meron ba talagang guy and girl in gay relationships that the more effeminate is the man and the more effeminate is the man and the more masculine is the girl, or baliktad, right? That the more effeminate is the girl, the girly girl, or the lipstick lesbian, and the more masculine is the guy, whom they always think are security guards, with who bind their breasts so they look like guys. To which Piper girl replies, "Ano yun? It's like you're asking which is the fork and spoon in a chopstick set." To which Dar Veloso quickly counters, "So there's no such thing? What about the butch femme and baklang parlor and papa relationships?" So let me just quickly jump in and say, couples vary in their desire and need for communication and response, not only in bed, but also in other situations. So there are some butch femme and baklang parlor papa relationships in gay relationships, but there are also such stereotypes in hetero relationships. Some couples, gay or straight, cannot envision any other reality than traditional roles. For example, if she is an artist who doesn't earn much, then he is the breadwinner. Now, some people, thank God, chafe against this kind of conformity and refuse to be limited by these stereotypical roles. And this is true not only for heterosexuals, but also for homosexuals. And bully for them, I say, because indubitably, the happiest couples are those with equal partners, free to experiment and laugh at themselves when these experiments don't work, and free to cheer up when they actually do. So let's end with a simple statement from Ivy, who says, "Love is love is love. It's no different just because we're both female." So thanks for your stories, questions, and comments about lesbian relationships. Now, what are we going to talk about next week? Please send in your suggestions for future topics to me on Facebook, tweet using the hashtag AskMargie, or send an email to askmargie@rappler.com. See you next week.